XTB started in 2002. Have you imagined that XTB can grow this much till right now?
Honestly, no. It took XTB 20 years to reach our 1 millionth client, whereas probably from next year, every single year we will have 1 million new clients.
Can you share with me your three main business principles?
Trust is most certainly one of them. The second principle, it's transparency to our pricing, to who we are, how the company works. Third principle would probably be connected with technology and growth.
What's your secret in building your super team?
You have to have people that have the same drive like you do. Okay, it doesn't have to be as big as your drive, but people have to have a drive. If you want to have a superhero team, then you have to build a certain culture of achieving success.
Hustle culture is a toxic or is it necessary in this company?
I think there are limits to everything, and I think there should be a balance. One of the most important parts of investing is starting.
Hi, Omar Arnaout. You're the CEO of XTB.
Yes, I am fortunate to be so.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Want to share my podcast. And you just arrived yesterday from Poland, right?
Yes, I have. I confirm.
I want to learn a lot today. I have a lot of questions here. So you work full-time in Poland?
I work full-time in Poland, but due to the fact that we have so many branches abroad, I travel quite frequently.
Around the world?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And then now, XTB want to expand in Indonesia, right?
That is exactly the plan.
Why Indonesia?
There are probably many reasons, but take into perspective that Indonesia in general is one of the quickest developing countries in the world. It's difficult not to think about a country like Indonesia. But otherwise, we are a stock-listed company. So from the regulatory perspective, things are very always important for us. And Indonesia is very, very highly regulated. So for a company like XTB, it's important that when we start a business somewhere, we have to know that there are certain rules that we have to follow, because it makes things, on one hand, obviously more difficult, but on the other hand, it makes it also easy because there is a lot of clarity. So I think one perspective is the fact that there is huge potential in Indonesia. Okay. And the other perspective is because there is a huge clarity in rules.
Okay, but why do you think now is the best time for XTB to expand? Why not like last year or next year maybe?
If you were going to ask me this question, I would love to be here even 5 years ago, but it's always a question of prioritization. Next year, I wouldn't want to be here because it would be already too late. But basically speaking, our mission, whether we're talking about Europe, whether we're talking about Latin America or Indonesia, is generally the same. We want to empower people to start investing because basically speaking, I think many people have seen investing as something that bankers do, that you have to have 5, 6 different monitors, that you have to have a very big financial background, while the reality is that investing is becoming a part of every day. Right. I even see this part, let's say even individually, because whereas 5, 7 years ago, you wouldn't hear people talking about investing. Well, nowadays, when I go to the gym, when I go to the taxi, when I go to the barber, people, I don't know, one person is talking about cryptocurrencies, another person is talking about gold, another person is telling me that his father works as a pilot and he's looking at American Airlines. So I think it's even part of our current marketing communication where we say that we work so hard for our money and it's important for our money to work for us. Whether we're looking, I don't know, in the short term or in the long term, I think our mission is exactly the same everywhere.
I see. So basically XTB is what? It's a trading platform for stocks, ETF or what?
It depends actually on the place where we are in the world.
Okay.
In Indonesia, what we are starting with right now is that we're going to offer stocks, ETFs and investment plans. All of them are obviously commission free because this is an important part of our model and it's not a promotion, it's the basic part of, let's say, our offering, and this is only the beginning. But in essence, what XTB is, or what our dream is to create a super investment app. So like an investment application in your pocket, an investment fund in your pocket, whether someone wants to engage in investing very actively or very passively, look at it, I don't know, in the short term or look at it in the long term, irrelevant what that person is thinking of, he should have access to those kinds of financial instruments. So for example, in Europe, we offer CFDs, we offer stocks, we offer ETFs, a multi-currency card, a digital wallet, interest, Soon, hopefully, we will offer options and cryptocurrencies. So basically speaking, if there is an investment that someone is thinking about, we really want to have it in our offer. And obviously, when we start with Indonesia, this is only the first step. And with most certainty, our offering will develop in the next few months.
Wow. So what do you mean by super app is about like one-stop solution in this XTB? So you have everything inside the app, right?
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly. So in not only in one application, but also exactly in the same login. So irrelevant what you want to do, you have to have everything in the same place. And it's not actually only access to the financial instruments themselves. It's also access to everything that the investor needs to help him make decisions, whether we're talking about analysis, whether we're talking about hundreds of hours of education, anything you need should be in the application. Because I think one of the most important things nowadays, whether we're talking about investing or any other industry, I think it's the user experience. So people have to have complete comfort in what they are doing. Everything has to be easy, frictionless, etc., etc. Because people lose, I don't know, if you get bored with the application, you have to log out, use different applications, you lose your patience. And the younger generations even loses their patience even quicker. So everything has to be as fluid, as frictionless as possible.
Wow. And then is it international stocks or like local stocks like in Indonesia?
Currently, it's going to be US stocks.
I see.
It's going to be US stocks. But this is only the beginning. And obviously, we're going to expand because we have obviously two options. Either start with everything, but prolong it, let's say, for next year, or start step by step, but already being competitive in some factors. And this is, I think, a better decision to start this way.
Yeah. So how many stocks do you have right now? Like Apple stocks, Microsoft, do you have it? In your
Yes,
app?
of course.
Of course.
It's actually thousands of stocks. So,
thousands of stocks.
At the end of the day, what's interesting with investors, it's because irrelevant whether we're talking about stocks, ETFs, or any other product, even though our offering is huge, most investors stick to, let's say, probably 5% of all of the offering. Of course, it's very important to have a very wide variety because people are different, they have different needs, etc., etc. But most people actually look at the basic offering.
Yeah. So I just created a video that tell my viewers that you cannot just buy an iPhone, but you have to buy the stock of the iPhone. Which is Apple, right?
Exactly.
So that the value is not going down because immediately after you buy an iPhone, the price goes down immediately. But if you buy the stocks of Apple, the value goes up.
Exactly.
So I told them that you have to buy a stocks, and then now XTB is the solution that they can use it to buy an international stocks, right?
Exactly. So if someone believes in a certain brand, whether it be Apple, whether it be, I don't know, Manchester United or anything else, if you believe in the product or in something that you are engaged in, then I think buying that kind of stock is probably a good decision, unless obviously maybe your belief is not in the right direction and maybe that stock could fall down in the future. But if you highly believe in a particular industry, then obviously you should follow that industry, not only because your belief, but also because of your understanding of that field.
Right. And most of the people just put their money into the banks, but not into the stocks of the bank. So for me, you can use both of them. You can invest in the stock of the banks and also put your money inside the bank, right?
Exactly.
So you get both of the benefits, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And do you have any significant stories or like one moment that makes you want to expand the market to Indonesia? Or
the thing is, it's interesting because every single year we say to ourselves, enough of expansion. Let's focus on what we have. But again, looking at every economic indicator connected with Indonesia, I think we would make a foolish mistake not engaging in Indonesia. And the thing is, if we do not enter right now, the market will become even more competitive every single year because, let's be honest, the Indonesian local market is very competitive.
Right.
So, and the market will develop very dynamically in the next few years. So if we hadn't done it right now, it would have been a waste of time because in general, I think, again, whether you're talking about our industry or any industry in the world, it doesn't make sense to exist if you do not fight for being in the top 3 in a given industry, because then you are fighting generally for peanuts and for irrelevance. And I think a company like us, we don't want to be irrelevant. Basically speaking, we're coming here, with big hope actually to be the market leader. Of course, it's not going to happen immediately because you have very good local market competition as well. But I think in essence, our goal is to become the number 1 in Indonesia.
Best of luck for XTB.
Thank you very much.
But what is the biggest challenge for you to expand in Indonesia?
I think the challenge is the same actually everywhere to some extent, because in order to achieve success, there are a few things that you have to do.
Okay.
Number one, you have to provide amazing technology, because the thing is that what many people don't know about is that XTB employs close to 600 people in our tech department.
Wow.
Many companies, they change different aspects of their offering, of their technology, of their processes, I don't know, once a year, once in 2 years. With XTB, due to the fact that we have such a strong tech team, changes within our offering and our technology happen every single month. And they are actually very client-forward changes. So it's not that something's happening in the back end with regard to stability, server strength, etc. These are true things that the client will see month after month after month. So I think this is something that's one of our strengths. The other fact is that we, like I mentioned before, we know that we need to create a super investment application having as many products as possible. So I believe if we are able to achieve point number 2 and achieve point number 1, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't achieve it, then I think that that we should be able to achieve success. So the challenge is introducing the first 2 points. And if we are able to do so, then obviously, the last thing that we have to think of, maybe the last thing, but very important thing, is to build a strong brand in Indonesia. Because irrelevant of how good our offer is, if we do not speak loudly about ourselves, then no one is going to find out about us. And that's actually one of the reasons why in the last few years we have worked with so many brand ambassadors who are strengthening the meaning of our brand in different countries and the attention, of course, to our brand. We have worked with, Jose Mourinho, Conor McGregor.
Wow.
Currently we're working with Zlatan Ibrahimovic as brand ambassador. So I think this is going to strengthen also the positioning that we have. So at the end of the day, it's technology, product, and brand awareness.
Wow, that's more about the marketing stuff, right?
Exactly,
in Indonesia. Yes. Yeah, okay. And I know that XTB started in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And then you became the CEO since 2016. Am I right?
2017. So
2017. A little bit. Okay, 2017. Have you imagined that XTB can grow this much till right now? When you became the first CEO?
Honestly, no. The thing is, when I joined, because I joined the company in 2007, and what I saw immediately is that there was a huge passion. But if you're asking me, would I feel that the company would have become what it became? Never, ever, ever. Because when I joined the company, there were, I think, 12 people, where currently we have 1,500 people.
Wow.
Everything was completely different. It's like, when I tell my friends and my family how things used to be when I joined the company, the only thing that's missing is, dinosaurs walking on the streets. So the thing is, I'll give you a few examples, but when a client, for example, and these are things that are basic, let's say, today they are basic for us, but in 2007 they were not basic. If a client wanted to open an account with XTB, first of all, he had to go to the website, download, I think, a stack of documents, 30, 40 pages, print out all of these documents, fill them out manually, put a signature, go to the mail office, send us those documents. They would reach us. Then we look if there's something missing or not. If there's something missing, then we have to send back the documents to the client. The client sends the documents back to us. And from the time the client actually wants to make the decision, I want to invest, to the situation where he starts investing, sometimes, 3-6 weeks will pass. And, if 3-6 weeks will pass, you will lose your interest in whatever you are doing. If you want something, you want it right now.
Yep.
And for us, it's very obvious, because now if a client wants to open an account in XTB in Indonesia, he opens an account now. A few minutes, depending obviously how quickly the client provides us with the documentation. But if the client provides us with everything, he can instantly have access to his investing account. And the thing is, tons of things like this that have changed. We didn't have our own technology. We were using a different system that was used by most brokers in the world called MetaTrader. Currently, like I mentioned, we have 600 people in IT and I really feel that this is a game changer, and this is something that has allowed us to become who we are today, is because when you have your own technology, the only limitation is your creativity. It's like if you have an external program, there's nothing you can do. It's like you can tell the program owner, well, why don't you change this and that? But at the end of the day, you are in the hands of that company. While with our technology, if we want something introduced now, it's a question of our creativity. So again, would I ever have imagined? No, because we had zero foreign branches as well. There was nothing literally in the company. It's so what we are now versus what we were at that time. It's a different world. You know, I think to get it into perspective, it took XTB 20 years to reach our 1 millionth client, whereas probably from next year, every single year we will have 1 million new clients. And this kind of shows what we were and what we are right now.
Wow, that was amazing story there. But what were the biggest turning point that can make XBT like today? Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember actually, because I would say there are probably 2 years that are very important.
When is it?
The year that we decided, okay, we need to be a fintech. Okay. Of course, we're not a fintech, but we said, let's be a fintech. And that was the year 2013. And that's when we decided that we want to have our own application. But at that time in 2013, the idea was not to have our own application so we can develop it. It was let's have our own application because we are such a healthy business that if the external, let's say, platform says, thank you, we don't want to work with you anymore, then we'll have trouble. So it was supposed to only be a backup at the beginning. But from the time where it was supposed to be a backup until the time where we decided this is going to be our main product, I think a few weeks only passed. So I think that was a turning point, because at that time we knew that everything is in our own hands and we can create our reality. And I think the second turning point was introducing a new product, because we were, until 2020, we were only a CFD broker in Europe. So we have nothing other than CFDs. And the thing is, if you have only CFDs, then obviously you are targeting an audience that is more aware of investing, because those are, of course, more difficult investments, very active, etc., etc. While in 2020, we started with our first product, and that is stocks. So I think that is a turning point. And you know what's important? Again, I'm not sure how it was in Asia, but in Europe, when COVID started in 2020, due to the fact that people were closed in their houses and what was happening on markets was completely crazy, we felt that in Europe it was like a fast forward in terms of financial awareness. So people who have never talked about investing suddenly were telling me, did you see what's happening on cryptos? Did you see what's happening in gold? And you know, like I mentioned before, I go to the gym and I hear people next to me talking about gold. It's like, you know, a few weeks before, I would have never expected this. You go and you talk to the taxi driver and he's saying, well, I bought myself a crypto. And, you know, it's like something changed. So I think those are probably the turning points. So turning point 1, let's be a technological company. Number 2, let's be a super investment app. And then come COVID and makes a fast forward in terms of that. So I would say those are most certainly the turning points.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think I'm one of the guy on the 2020 that says that I want to start to invest my money to crypto and stocks in 2020.
So I think this is typical for the whole world, whether we're talking about Europe or any other area. I think due to the craziness of the market at that time, I think many people started looking at what's
because
happening.
A lot of people like stay at home, right? And then online, and then they don't know what to do. They start to learn new things, which is investment, which is good.
Yes,
which is very good.
I completely agree.
Okay. If you can describe one word for XTB, what would it be?
I would say passion, actually. Passion.
Why passion?
Since I joined the company, when there were 12 people, you felt the hunger to achieve success all the time. You know, I'll give you a great example, but the main shareholder of the company is extremely involved in the company. Whether we will, I don't know, next year, if 1 million new investors join us, whether we achieve amazing results, the main shareholder is never content with what we have. He always, we're happy for a very short period of time, literally 30 seconds, and immediately, okay, it's great what we did, but let's look into the future. So I think the hunger to achieve success is very big. And I truly believe that we have everything that we need to be actually the biggest, probably originally European company to be the biggest, let's say, in the world in terms of offering those kinds of services. So I think it wouldn't have been possible without the hunger of achieving success. But the fact is that there are many hungry companies. And I think you simply, if you want to win the race to be the best company, such company in the world, you have to be even hungrier than they are.
Oh, that's really good. Can you share with me your 3 main business principles that can build this business so big and so huge right now?
Trust is most certainly one of them. And I think this is very important for us because at the end of the day, if you are a person that's joining XTB, you are depositing your funds. You are depositing money that you are working very hard to earn. So I think without trust, it is impossible to manage those kinds of companies. So I think this is a key principle. And that's actually one of the reasons why we are stock listed in the Warsaw Stock Exchange, because it makes us extremely transparent. And that's how I go very directly to the second principle. It's transparency. I know they are very highly connected, but transparency with regard to, I don't know, to our pricing, to who we are, transparency even towards our own employees, how the company works, how it assesses your success or not. So I think transparency is important for everyone, whether we're talking about the people who join us or the people who work for us to help us achieve success. And I think the third principle would probably be connected with technology and growth. So generally growth, I would say. So those are, I would say, probably the most important principles for us right now.
Okay, I'm just curious. Do you have any like small habits that you still do it until now? And then that has a connection with your leadership in this company?
I hate to lose, generally speaking. So I think a habit is that every single day I wake up thinking what we're supposed to do to kind of move a step forward. I treat, because I'm a fan of games in general, whether we're talking about board games or computer games, I treat XTB to some extent like a game. It's like I have all of the information I need. I have all of the moves that I can do, and I think how can I move the pieces in order to make to let's say have a winning move. So I think I look at it also from this perspective.
So it's all about new high scores and new high score and
exactly,
new high
yes.
score, right?
It's always about new high scores. If we're talking about new high scores, then I think this is also kind of an interesting fact because like I mentioned before, it took XTB 20 years to reach our millionth client. Yesterday, we published our official results from the third quarter. And up until the 26th of October, we were able to onboard over 96,000 clients, which means that probably till the end of the month, it will be the first month in the history of the company where we onboard over 100,000 clients within 1 month. And I think if we are talking about high scores, then this is extremely good news for us, because if I remember well, then probably about 5-6 years ago, we used to have 35,000 new clients all year, whereas this month alone, we should have over 100,000. So high scores are amazing in whatever you do.
Wow. Yeah. And then I remember that you said you have more than 1,000 employees under your team right now. What's your secret in building your super team?
If you want to make a company work well, you really need a super team, because it's impossible for you to manage everything that works with the company. It is literally impossible, even though I know about most of the things that are happening in the company, because obviously I should. But on the other hand, the success would have not been possible without amazing people who are around me. I think this is one of the biggest, let's say, secrets of success, is that you have to have a super team around you. But on the other hand, if you want to have a super team around you, then aspects of, managing people's, performance is very important, because something that companies very often forget about is that you have to have people that have the same drive like you do. Okay, it doesn't have to be as big as your drive, but people have to have a drive. They cannot treat going to the office like, like they're going for a coffee or like a habit. They have to have passion to do it. And in order to see whether there is the passion to do it, you have to unfortunately also analyze results, analyze performance, analyze different behavioral patterns, etc., etc. So basically, I think it's a great example of a company like Netflix. The person that works closest with the CEO of Netflix is a person that comes actually from the HR department, because a lot of the culture of success comes from a great chief people officer. And this is also one of the reasons why a few months ago we brought in a great chief people officer to the company, because if you want to have a superhero team, then you have to build a certain culture of achieving success. So I think this is very, very important.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about hustle culture. Do you think this hustle culture is a toxic, or is it necessary in this company?
The thing is, I think there are limits to everything, because you cannot have a sick atmosphere, you cannot have a pathological, let's say, atmosphere, but you cannot also have that kind of atmosphere of, I don't know, comfort, that I come to the office, by the time I make a coffee, by the time I talk to a few friends, 3 more hours, I'm going home. This is impossible. It's like you have to have let's say, a culture of achieving success, but you cannot cross a certain line where the person going to the office feels, I don't know, that I don't want to go there. This is tiring for me, etc., etc. So there is a certain limit that should never be crossed, because, again, I'll give you an example of myself. When I go to the office, I literally can't wait to go to the office. It's like going, I don't know, it reminds me of the times when I used to go to school, to see my friends, to do things that excite us. During those times, I don't know, what was exciting for me was probably playing football or basketball or doing something like this. What is exciting for me now is telling you, for example, that this month we should probably cross 100,000 new clients. So top scores are different at each level. And I think there should be a balance about this.
It's all about balance.
It's all about balance.
Okay, but we all know that there are tons of other trading platforms out there. So what makes XBT different with them?
Wow, I can probably talk for hours and hours about this. So I'll give you maybe a few examples to kind of be concise. Most companies, I'm not saying every single company, but most companies most certainly do not have 600 people in their tech team. So probably if you start using an application, the application will literally look exactly the same 1 or 2 years later. And this happens with most applications, that whether you're using your bank application or any other application, mostly they don't really change. With our application, literally, our tech team, again, going back to the HR, let's say, topic, they are assessed based on the success of how many developments and changes they make within the platform. And those are not things that are, I don't know, that something is happening on the back end. What were the changes that the client will feel that were introduced within the last 3 months? So I think this is one of the biggest aspects for clients, because the client knows that with XTB, I can expect client-centric changes, because the needs of the clients are developing extremely quickly, and we have to be as quick as possible. So I think, as they call it, the time to market has to be very, very dynamic, and we cannot say, like, I don't know, many traditional banks that, let's wait, things will change, etc. The world will not wait for you. It's like you have to be going with the flow and not the opposite way. So I think this is one very important aspect. Another aspect is the fact that we try to create an investment application that, like I mentioned again before, incorporates everything you need as an investor, whether it be the tools to start investing, whether it be the education, because like I mentioned, of course, in Indonesia, it will not happen instantly, but in the branches that we have had for a very long time, there are literally hundreds of hours of education, not only organized by us, but by some of the biggest influencers, educators, investors within a given country. Obviously, as many analytical tools, whether we're talking about analysis itself, written, read analysis, or different tools that can help you analyze, I don't know, what is the best stock to follow at a certain time. So I think what's important here, and what makes us also different, is that it's really, really comprehensive. And that's point number 1. So everything connected with the technological aspect. Point number 2 is that many companies currently within our sector that are global companies, I'm not talking about local companies, because with local companies, I think it's obvious, but with global companies, it's not that obvious, that when they start businesses abroad, they do everything online. They do not have a physical office. They do not have someone you can talk to in your own language, a place that you can visit, someone you can literally touch, etc. So this is very important for us, that with every branch that we open, whether it be Indonesia, whether it be Chile, or I don't know, the United Kingdom, in every place we have to have an office with a team that's going to help our clients in anything they need. And I also think that that's a question of trust. And that's how I go kind of naturally to the next point, which is something I already mentioned, but I think it's very important. is that this is a sector that requires trust. If you deposit your hard-earned money, you have to feel that you're going to sleep being a completely calm person. We have heard about so many companies around the world that got clients' money and suddenly disappeared. And I think this is why it's important for us that we are a stock-listed company, because it's difficult to be more transparent than we are. It's like if you're stock-listed, there's nothing that you can hide. You have to generally show everything that you currently have, because you're a stock-listed company. And I think this is also something that most certainly differentiates us. So I would say those are the aspects: the tech part, the fact that we are present, we want to be local, and the fact that we are very highly regulated, and of course that we are stock listed. And you know what's interesting is that due to the fact that we are the biggest company in many countries, we are originally a Polish company. So obviously if you ask someone in Poland, where is XTB from, they will of course say they are Polish. But on the other hand, I think that if you go to Portugal and you ask a Portuguese client, where is XTB from? Probably they will say we are from Portugal. And I think a very similar case would be going to Slovakia. Where is XTB from? Slovakian, probably. And the thing is, this is, I think, the feeling that we want to get to really show that we are local. And hopefully within a few years, when we achieve success in Indonesia, an Indonesian client will also say that XTB is probably Indonesian.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And now I understand why you choose Zlatan become your brand ambassador. Because Zlatan is super confident on the field, and I think XTB is super confident in this trading platform stuff.
But you know, that's one of the reasons actually also why we're...
That's the real reason?
That's one of many reasons. Because, you know, the thing is, if someone is your brand ambassador, they have to speak the same language that you speak. If that person, I think a company is very often like a person. You have a certain character. I think we're the younger, cooler brother of banks, let's say. And I think Zlatan is that kind of, you know, strong character, always willing to move forward, always looking at high scores. And I think this is also his career. So I completely agree.
Yeah, okay. Moving forward, I want to talk about technology here. Do you use any AI in your technology team, or do you want to put AI feature in your XTB trading platform? Because I think AI would change something in this trading world in the next few years.
I completely agree with you. You know, the thing is that there are many types of companies. The companies that don't use AI because they don't want to use it for some reason. Of course, I don't understand, but there are companies that don't use it. There are companies that have CEOs that say, let's use AI. But then someone asks them, okay, but what do you want to use AI for? And they have no clue what they're going to use it for, because everyone is talking about AI, so why don't we use AI? And then those are the companies that actually know that we should use AI, and they start incorporating it in practice, because it's easy to talk about AI, but it's not as easy to incorporate it in your own business. And currently within XTB, I will try to give you, again, not too many examples because we can talk for a very long time about AI, but starting from the very beginning. It's like I mentioned before that if someone wants to open an account with us, it happens very quickly. This is also because of AI. The thing is that historically a client would have to show us their identity card, etc., etc. Obviously, depending on the country, each country has different regulations. But in many countries, you simply use AI that authenticates, that does this kind of authentication to see whether the person who is trying to open an account is really is the person who is opening the account through, I don't know, video analysis, through movement, etc., etc. So basically speaking, over 60% of the clients that open accounts with XTB right now, even the customer support team does not have to touch the application because everything is done automatically, and AI helps us within this. This is one example. Another example is that in our tech department, when you start coding, and obviously the tech team has to review the code, currently most of the reviews are being done by AI. So historically, we used to waste a lot of time simply by reviewing the code, whereas right now, a big part of the code review is actually being done by AI. So there are hundreds of AI review coding processes done every single month. Literally, most of the IT team uses them, and I think this has incredibly helped us moved forward. Additionally, this is kind of obvious, but I think it's important, is that a big part of the communication with the client is done through AI. So basically speaking, AI analyzes and memorizes everything that is on our website. So when a client actually asks a question, AI doesn't only obviously push the client to a certain part of the website, but also answers as many questions as possible. Obviously, this needs to be expanded from month to month because clients ask more questions, more complicated questions. But basically speaking, what's important is that if a few years ago we were onboarding 40,000 clients per year, and now we onboard 100,000 clients per month, then it doesn't make sense for us to employ another few hundred people in our customer support team, because AI can help us with the work, especially with the manual work. And basically speaking, AI is now being introduced to as many departments as possible. Another great example is connected with safety. So for example, behavioral patterns of, clients. Some people are trying to launder their money, for example. I think this may be a good example. And AI will tell us, stop this account, block this account, because there is a very high probability based on the behavioral pattern of this client that this client is trying to launder money. And the thing is, beforehand, those things were done, manually, through analysis, through different kind of indicators, while now things are trying to be, things are becoming as much automated as possible due to the help of AI. But you can give tons of examples. Marketing materials, of course. Unfortunately, with marketing, you can clearly see sometimes that something is being generated by AI and not by a true graphic designer.
Yep.
But sometimes, due to the fact that we have so many things on our minds, even AI can help us in preparing marketing materials. So I think AI is already helping us, but I also believe this is only the beginning.
Wow. Okay. And I know one of your features is X Station. You know about it, right?
You mean our application?
Yeah. You have one feature, X Station. So what is it? Like, is it a feature for a beginner trader or what?
So the thing is, X Station is our X Station, or we call it right now the XTB app. We're trying to move away slowly, but but it's still X Station. So it's our main investment app. And the thing is, we are trying to make it as approachable, as user-friendly as possible. So of course, if you're talking about stocks or ETFs, then obviously maybe they are not. It would not be true if I said they are very easy, because let's say if I talk to my father, he will not know what stock or ETF to invest in. But on the other hand, we have introduced also investment plans. Investment plans are these kinds of buckets, let's say, like funds. You choose based on your analysis. You try to understand, am I willing to accept small risk, medium risk, big risk? Okay, let's say I accept small risk. What is my anticipated yearly rate of return? Okay, I would like to make, for example, 10, 15, 20%. And based on different indicators, you can create a certain bucket, or let's say an investment plan, where based on this, you can simply open it, add a recurring payment, because I think this is also very important. This is something that we didn't talk about before, but I think one of the most important parts of investing is starting. Because it's like, you cannot learn how to ride a bicycle by reading how to learn how to ride a bicycle. Okay, will you fall off the bicycle 1 or 2 times? 100%. And it's going to be the same with investing. But one of the most important things with investing is starting with a sum of money that's not going to change your life. Let's say it's, 10 euro. Let's say it's 100 euro. Later in your life, maybe you are making a lot of money. Maybe it's 1,000 euro. But what's important is to have for it to be a process. So every single month, I am going to add that sum of money to my investment account, and that's called a recurring payment. So at the beginning, let it be 10 euro, later let it be 100 euro, etc., etc. So for a person who is starting off, I think investment plans are probably one of the best ways to start. Number one, because they encourage regularity. They do not incur a high level of risk if you choose a lower level of risk. And additionally, you can treat them a little bit like a playlist on Spotify. Okay. So I don't know every single song. I'm not interested in every single song. So I'm going to choose the songs that fit my mood the best. and this is what I'm going to, let's say, do. And an investment plan is something very, very similar to that. In January or February next year, we're going to make it even easier because there are going to be particular plans that are pre-made for you. So let's say if you're a person that believes in technology, we're going to have these kinds of investment plans that are based on technology. If you, for example, on green energy. So basically speaking, it's going to be significantly easier. But again, what I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think is the essence of this is you have to start.
Okay.
You're going to fall off. You're going to probably not make money instantly, but it has to be treated like a learning process. But what's most important is start off with a sum of money that is not going to change your life.
And it's zero commission fee, right?
Yes, it's completely zero commission up to a nominal of €100,000 per month. So basically speaking, it's very difficult to cross €100,000 per month. So there are zero commissions. And like I mentioned also at the very, very start of our conversation, this is not a short-term promotion because we have had stocks and ETFs in Latin America, in the United Arab Emirates, in Europe since 2020. And up until today, we have not changed that offer. And we do not plan to change the offer in Indonesia as well.
What's your vision for Indonesian investors for the next 5 years or 10 years?
One of the most important things is financial awareness and literacy. And I think this is very, very important. It's a very big mission for us also in Europe, in Latin America, in the United Arab Emirates. Because if you look at a country like America, in America, it is estimated that approximately 60% of adults have at least one financial instrument. Now, in Europe, it goes down to, I don't know, like 30%. So it's already 50% worse than America. If you look at Latin America and the United Arab Emirates, it's probably 10% or 15%. Even in Poland itself, not many people invest. So I think this is one of the biggest challenges for us in every place that we are, financial education. And this is, when we start in Indonesia, this is also one of our core, let's say, core processes that we always want to work with local educators, local influencers. We want to manage a lot of education. So I think this is one of the most important things, because if we are able to reach an educated client, an educated person, then achieving the goal with having many people joining us is going to be easy because it's going to be 100% dependent on us. If we know that our offering is great, if our technology is great, if the number of products that we are offering is satisfying, then everything at the end of the day is going to be connected with financial investment literacy. And this is one of the most important challenges that we have for the next few years.
What's the best advice that you ever received from other people?
It's like, I think it never came in the form of advice, but I think the DNA that I felt within the company itself, especially from the main shareholder, who was also the founder, is do not overthink things that you are doing them and just simply do them at the beginning and obviously reach conclusions as quickly as possible. No. Because one of the biggest mistakes that many, managers do, many companies do, is that they spend time overthinking things and not actually doing them. While within XTB, we try to do things as fast as possible. If they're good, then obviously continue doing them. If they aren't good, then cut them off as soon as possible. So I think conclusions and acting, I think this is probably one of the best pieces of advice maybe I haven't received directly, but I have felt and I have been supported with from the beginning. And this is actually one of the things that I also try to tell the people that I work with. It's like, let's do something. Let's simply do it and let's immediately analyze. Because, one of the things, it's obviously easy to do something, but also what's important is reaching conclusions very, very quickly. And I think this is also important, not to get, emotionally connected with the decisions that you make. I would rather make, 10 decisions where even 7 of them were bad, but I reached conclusions very quickly, rather than waiting half a year to make one decision that may be good, may not be good, because who knows?
That's really good. How about the worst advice that you ever received from anyone? And if you listen to them, it would destroy everything that you built.
Again, I think Wait.
Wait.
Wait. There's no time for waiting. There's no time for waiting. If you wait, then others are not going to wait. Be patient, wait. Be patient, wait. There's no such thing. It's like I know that due to the fact that I've worked so many years at XTB, well, like I mentioned, since 2007, I am not a patient person with waiting. So for me, waiting is the thing that we shouldn't be doing. It's like act and do not wait. It's the opposite of the best advice. So I would say that.
Okay. Actually, I learned a lot from this moment, this podcast today. And for my last question for you is, do you have any advice to anyone who watched this video right now?
Yes. I think this is also the essence of our communication currently. It's like every single one of us, every day, we work very, very hard. And the thing is, we always forget that our money should work also for us. So this is, I think, the advice that I would give. Sometimes it's more comfortable for us to keep money in the bank. Sometimes it's more comfortable for us to keep money under the bed. But at the end of the day, inflation kills this money, eats it actually. So you're working so hard, and it starts. The thing is, you have to have control over your life, and the only way you're going to have control over your life is if you at least put some of that money to work. Of course, at the end of the day, what's important is, I think, how you divide that money. Some of the money that you make should be completely risk-free, because obviously this is the way that you are building your future. Some of the money should be, connected with a small element of risk that is connected with your long-term, let's say, savings, and should be treated with passive. And if you still have some money, then obviously you could treat it actively. But at the beginning, I would start with passive investing. So this is probably the best advice. And like I said before, act and do not wait. Take matters in your own hands.